My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. That's the key phrase, let freedom ring. And I repeat, let freedom ring. These were the words which the late Martin Luther King quoted in his famous I Have a Dream speech, which he quoted from the old patriotic tune. Yet, what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to you guys? What is freedom? Freedom can be many things, but today we shall discuss what I consider one of the most important liberties we have in this nation is the freedom of speech. In the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, it states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. But what is freedom of speech? According to the Oxford Dictionary, freedom of speech is defined as the legal right to express one's opinions freely. Recently, however, free speech has come under scrutiny with the rise of hate speech. What is hate speech? Is there any difference between freedom of speech and hate speech as well? When we think of hate speech, what do we think of? First thing that comes to my mind are possibly like neo-Nazi, white supremacist, extremist groups of that sort. Yet hate speech is by definition speech that attacks a person or group on basis of attributes such as race, region, religion, ethnic origin, or gender identity. Often, however, free speech is put to its severest test when the topic is something we disagree on or have different moral views on, such as the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists. Yet these groups have every right, according to the Constitution, to speak freely for what they believe to be right. Just because someone promotes and believes something that we are strongly against does not give us the right to silence their freedom of speech. Now this is a very hard concept for us to understand because morally we know they are very wrong. Yet by law and by constitution we have to respect their beliefs and let them act upon what they see fit. However, when you go beyond content and look at the context for which speech hate is, hate speech may be punished if in particular context it directly causes imminent serious harm or threats to an individual or group. This, however, hasn't stopped people from believing that there should be instances where freedom of speech does not apply or should be censored even. However, if we limit free speech or even controversial speech such as hate speech, it would go against the very essence of our nation and the self-proclaimed title that we have given it, the land of the free. Speech cannot, and I repeat, cannot be punished just because of hateful content, even if we do not agree with what is being said. Now, the most effective way to counter the potential negative effects of hate speech is not through censorship, but rather more speech. Not hate speech, but more counter speech against it. Let me explain. The censorship of hate speech, no matter how well intended, has been shown around the world and throughout history to be more negative and to do more harm than actually promoting equality, dignity, inclusivity, diversity, and even social harmony. Often, free speech, as we have seen, is put to its most severest test when the topic is something we disagree with most. Speech that deeply offends our morality or is hostile to our way of life warrants the same constitutional protection as other speech because the right of free speech is in itself indivisible. So when we grant the government the power to suppress controversial ideas, though controversial such as the neo-Nazi regime and the white supremacist or white supremacy theory, we are all subject to the censorship by the state if we allow Congress and the government to suppress these ideas. Recently, online communities and social media sites have struggled with the responsibility in moderating speech and content on their platforms. Sites such as Facebook have been criticized for censoring and allegedly promoting certain viewpoints over others. In their defense, they claim that these messages which they censor are controversial. The notion of free speech, however, is being abused by many to silence those viewpoints that do not necessarily line up with our own. Social media sites have struggled with the responsibilities in moderating speech, and platforms such as Twitter have suffered the consequences of not curtailing online harassment on their sites. But who is right? What should be done in these cases? Jesse Daniels, a psychology professor at Hunter College in New York, made a statement in an article saying, "Part of what the digital era has done is it's raised new questions and new doubts about the line between free speech and hate speech. So then, should we censor? And if so, what can be done to punish those who promote and speak in the hate speech?" This is a crucial concept to understand, for we often think that hate speech is in fact illegal, but this is not the case. As long as the hate speech isn't directly harming or threatening someone with a genuine intent or means to instill fear on a person where he or she should feed for their own lives, it is, in fact, legal. This leaves us with a sort of moral battle in our heads. For how can we respect and defend the rights of such audacious people? It is often hard to understand why organizations such as the ACLU, or American Civil Liberties Union, spend their resources and time on controversial groups such as the white supremacists instead of defending what we would consider more morally good people. Though controversial at times, freedom of speech is one of our nation's greatest assets and should be used with wisdom, for if we learn to respect the rights of others, though we do not agree, then we can finally have the peace our nation and world desperately needs. This is something that will always be hard for us to wrap our heads around. How can we respect that which we morally know is wrong or disagree with? But by learning to respect someone, even though disagreeing with them, it is very important and it can affect many aspects of our society and nation. I would like to end with a quote said by Benito Juarez, one of the only good Mexican presidents Mexico was blessed to have with. And it says, "Entre los individuos como entre las naciones, el respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz." Now translated, that says, amongst individuals, as amongst nations, respect for the rights of others is peace. And I feel that these words are very true, even to this day. And these words were spoken and written about 100 years ago. We should learn how to respect the rights of others. For if all of us in this classroom started to do that, we might generate a change. And we might, just might, by respecting others, finally have peace in this nation.